Welcome back to my hardcore Minecraft world, and welcome back to maybe the ugliest nether portal that's ever existed. Yeah, I've survived over 1,000 days and built all of this, and I can't even build another portal. So that changes today, as I'm trying to transform this giant cavern into maybe my best build that I've ever made in Minecraft. But this all starts by taking a trip up to the top of the nether. And I actually have everything I need to get on top of the nether in my inventory right now, so I'm gonna get started on it. First, I have to find the perfect spot to break bedrock. Okay, I found the block that I need. Just need to place ladders up here. So all I have to do is just go up to this block, right click with a pearl, and then right click again, and now we're out. I hear an endermite. I spawned an endermite with my pearl. So all I have to do is actually place a sideways piston on this block like that. You'd have to place 2 pieces of obsidian like that, a lever, 2 pieces of TNT, and then a trapdoor. And this is the same block. All I have to do is right click with that, get down here, and then place a piston on the side of this one. The easiest way to do this though is actually go into keybinds and change your right click, your right mouse button to like a thing on your keyboard, so you can pretty much just have a free auto clicker. We're using the lever very fast. Why? Oh my god, no. Why? No! Oh my god, dude. Why? And then why? And it didn't work. And I actually have an auto clicker installed on my computer. I'm just gonna use that instead. I mean, that seems effective enough. Right click, gonna turn it back on. We're trying it again. Get me down. Right click. Oh, it worked. Perfect. Okay. First try. Not everybody has to be good at Minecraft. You got so don't worry. Now where's our little friend at? Did he despawn? Dang, that's unfortunate. All my friends like to leave me. But we're up here. That's all that matters. Now this next part of the video is something that I'm dreading. And I really don't want to do it. But it's time to fix the iron farm. Because I broke it. I actually killed one of the villagers in here, so it's not even that it's broken, it's that it just won't work anymore because I killed one of the villagers. It wasn't out of any fit of rage, it was just an accident. I bonked one of them with a shovel. I tried to fix it, but the shovel decided it wanted to end one of these guys' life, and now I'm stuck with a nitwit and this not very smart guy either. I want to cover up that block, and I actually want to make these guys breed so we can get another villager in here, which means I need some carrots. But again, I mean, this is the weakest automatic iron farm there is, but this is not a bad design. I mean, what is happening over here? So now if I lock them up and don't show them the sunlight for a little bit until we get this thing figured out, should be good. Sounds like a daycare in here. They made 3 kids. Why did they make so many? Who wants to go on a little trip? So loud in there, and I look in there and there's just 3 kids. Little update, they made about 58 kids in 20 minutes, and one of the villagers died because they hit their head too hard. And we're not holding a funeral. I don't really care. I also need to get rid of these villagers. Everybody, look away. Look away. I might regret that. I might need those villagers. And once one of these guys dies, because I know it's going to happen. I began putting in a new iron farm design that would hopefully work better than the last one, but while I was transporting villagers to the new farm, there was a little accident. One of the villagers went down the roller coaster a little too fast and bumped his head a little too hard. But other than that, the building of the farm went pretty smooth, and hopefully this farm gives us better rates than the last one I had. Hey, it's working, and as long as this is running in the background for a little bit, that should give us all the iron that we need. So I just fixed the iron farm. The next thing to do in this video is actually to build a gold farm, because I need to make a bartering farm for Blackstone. And for that, I'm going to need a gold farm, which means I need turtle eggs, and these guys should be pretty happy consume this stuff. So happy that they try to make a child. I mean, that's exactly what I would do if I ate some seagrass. So I just gotta wait for this this fine lady to drop a little egg, and it did. Perfect. 2 eggs, 3 eggs. All I need is 1. I also need a little bit of glass, so I am just gonna destroy this beach again. So I'm smelting up a bunch of glass now. All I need is another stack, and I need a ton of obsidian. So I'm actually just gonna fly into the nether again, and I actually need to go to the end, which means I should probably link up the new end portal to the top of the nether. And boom, it should be linked now. And now it's time to just break some of this pillar and get 54 obsidian. Now I have all the obsidian I need and a few extra. And that's all the materials I need for this farm. And now with the glass fully smelted up, I can just make it all purple because it looks cool. And this is really all the materials that we need. So all that I really have to do is just go into the nether and find a place to actually set up this farm. I began clearing out a big room that works as a spawning platform for the gold farm, and then place another portal in the middle of the room so the zombified piglins that do spawn go through the portal and get transported to the killing chamber that we make later. It also helps to have 2 layers for spawning platforms, so I began clearing out another room above the last one. And now that I have this room completely filled out, I just need to make little 2x2 corners here, so any zombified piglin things with the crossbows will just despawn once they fall. And boom, we have those placed on every single corner now. Now it's time to put in some of the final touches of the farm, placing in that turtle egg that we collected later so they can get attracted to it, and then lighting the portal. And then I worked my way up to the nether roof so I can start on the killing chamber. But now I actually need to build up very, very far, like another 100 blocks. Now it's time to actually make the killing chamber, where I first just bridge out on some glass and then place a portal, which is pretty much just used as a way to get up and down to the farm. And then I started actually making the killing chamber area. For the other side, there's just another portal that's raised slightly in a very simple killing chamber. So now that that's done, I should be good to light this portal now and go through it without any trouble. So let's hope I'm right on that. Oh my god. Oh my. Let me fly away so these guys despawn real quick. That is what I was trying to avoid, but I was way too late and they didn't despawn because the chunk was loaded, I guess. Okay, they're all gone now. Now it was time to bridge up in the overworld, mirroring exactly what I did in the nether, which is used as a little highway for the zombified piglins. This removes them from the mob cap in the nether, which helps the rates of the farm. But with all that set up, that's pretty much it. I can run this farm, killing them myself. It gives over 300 blocks of gold an hour. So in that little bit of time, we have 8 gold blocks, which is pretty good. But I don't feel like sorting. Oh my god. I don't feel like picking up swords and stuff and sorting my inventory every single time I use the farm. So I have a design for an auto sorting system figured out. I just need a ton of hoppers, chests, and other pieces of redstone in order to make it. And now with everything in this shulker box and the stuff in my inventory, I do have enough materials to actually build this item sorter. So it's time to break some of the farm that I just created to put in a more efficient killing chamber and item sorting system. In order to put in the sorting system, I needed a bigger space underneath the farm, so I created a glass square and started making the auto sorter. Since redstone is pretty boring, I'm just going to get through this quickly. It's a pretty simple system that just sorts the gold nuggets, and rotten flesh for easier use. It's not the most efficient system, but it does the job. And now the farm is up and running, and it's not like perfect, the storage contraption that I made, because a lot of the drops just don't go through the hoppers fast enough. You still kind of have to manually throw all the swords out and burn them because they're very annoying. Oh, the chicken, no. But this is still a very, very fast gold farm. It should make like 300 blocks an hour if you actually want to sit here and listen to this for an hour. I didn't want to sit there for an hour listening to all the death sounds, so I went back home and destroyed the beacon because I want to collect materials for this build. Because so far in this episode, I've destroyed bedrock to get on the nether roof, and I've made a very efficient gold farm for future piglin trading. But I want to head over to the mines because I'm going to need well over 8,000 cobbled deep slate for this build alone. So I spent a ton of time in the mines collecting cobbled deep slate, and because this project is so massive, the resource grind didn't stop there, as I would also need well over 3 shulker boxes full of pale oak in order to complete this build. So I spent a good amount of time collecting pale oak, and I know wombats aren't necessarily water creatures, but I also took a trip to the ocean to get some black dye, because I need a ton of black candles and black stained glass, but I also need a ton of black stone, so I went over and destroyed an entire bastion. Finally, I needed a light source block, so I decided to go to the swamp to breed up some frogs to collect some frog lights. Okay, they finally did it. Oh my god. So I spent a good amount of time waiting for some frog spawn to hatch some tadpoles so I can get some frogs to breed. Then I took them back home and made a little chamber for them to grow up into frogs eventually. And then I flew over to where I wanted to create the entrance of the nether portal. So the entrance of this nether portal will go right here, which means I have to dig out a pretty big space right here to start, and then there's going to be a staircase that goes very, very far down. So it's time to do more mining. I thought I was done with the mining from the river last video, but it's time to do a little bit more. But I'm not going to be mining right away because I want to create the entrance of this nether portal, which is just going to be a pretty big doorway that almost looks like an old dwarven city entrance, similar to the dwarven gate that I made. And then I went down and created the beacon because I'm going to need to clear out a huge hallway that goes down into a big cavern. So it's going to require a ton of block breaking. But while I was breaking the blocks, I also started to make the staircase that will go down into this cavern. And the staircase is also in a big cave. So I just used cobbled deep slate and the pale oak that we collected to create these cave walls with some blackstone and tuff for the actual foundation and staircase of the build. And my main goal right now is to build a hallway big enough to fly in and out of that goes down super far into the ground that will eventually open up into a big room. But right now I have the main entrance and I like the way it turned out. But if you're wondering where the end goal for the staircase is, this is the cavern we're trying to reach and it's pretty far down. And now after all that work, we have kind of the entrance done. There is going to be these on this side. I just don't feel like making them right now. I don't have the iron to spare to make all this right now, so I'm going to wait. But outside of the very obstructive beacon beam, and there is some glow lichen in. This is really what the vibe is going to be like going all the way down, and it's going to curve and go this way now, which just means I'm going to have to pretty much dig in a straight line for, I don't even know, maybe 50 blocks, maybe a little bit more than that. So let me just continue digging and continue pushing this entire build pretty much under the river, like right here. It's going to curve and then the staircase is going to go down again. And as you go through these little pillars, there is a huge space laid out for even more pillars and even more of this kind of dark cave texture that goes through. And it's going to look so nice once this is all done. You see there's a little bit of a curve right here. This little stone bit is the last pillar, and then it's just going to go down and there's going to be a big staircase, a massive staircase that goes down and then curves again into a huge cavern that is already there. But I'm very, very excited. I'm going to texture up this hallway as much as I can with the materials that I have, and then I'll be back. With the shape of the area cleared out, it's time for me to go through the entire hallway and add both the pillars and the cave in between the pillars to create a dark fantasy style hallway. I want this area to feel grand and important, but also mysterious at the same time, almost like it's leading down to something scary or sinister like a nether portal, which it is. So I wanted to use the dark blackstone blocks to serve as the pillars with the deep slate and pale oak for the walls, as it's a slightly lighter block, and the tough floor as I toned down from the walls, so I think the blocks mesh together super well and create this dark, evil looking place. This area could use some further decorating, so feel free to give me some ideas in the comments, and also feel free to like and subscribe because projects like this take a ton of time, and the supporting the channel helps me keep going and pushing these videos out as soon as I can. But with all the blocks placed, the hallway is in and it looks so good. And minus like 4 chains and some candles, this hallway is pretty much finished. But this hallway is very, very cool. I might end up texturing it up with some like more pale moss bits and stuff like the hanging, but I think it looks very cool so far. And I kind of just went through this as quickly as I can. It's nice to feel like I have made any sort of progress on this video because it's a little bit stressful, the amount of materials that I need to work on this project. But honestly, I think I'm going through a lot less resources than I thought I would be. I mean, we still have so much cobble deep slate in here. Still a pretty good amount of blackstone and everything. I mean, a pretty good amount of pale oak as well. But I think I'm just going to continue this hallway as far as I can. And I should be able to go pretty far. It's just going to go straight down. There's going to be a hallway straight down, but it's going to look so cool. It's just going to be this exact same texturing. But ow. Oh my god. 2 hearts. I need to go and mend up my tools because they're very, very broken. I spent time at the Enderman XP farm to mend up my tools before diving right back into the project. I have a ton of blocks to break and I want to push the staircase down as quickly as I can. The scale of the project ended up being way bigger than initially planned, and I don't want the staircase to be the main focus of the build, so there's not a ton going on here. There's just a ton of block breaking and placing of blocks, of course, as this section took close to an hour. I've done a pretty good amount of this, and it's starting to look really, really nice, but I ran into a cave. This was intentional, but if I fly around, there's a lot of A lot of creatures in here. A lot of mobs. So I am going to have to go through with a ton of torches and light that whole area up. Thankfully, I have like 5 stacks of torches. So I'm just going to go through and light this cave up. After grabbing a whole bunch of torches, I ran around the cave, spamming them in as many areas as needed so mobs wouldn't spawn and ruin my day. Luckily, there is a mod that maps out what blocks are spawnable for mobs, so I just have to run around the cave and make sure the numbers show up as green, which means mobs can't spawn there anymore because the light level is above 0. This process took a lot longer than you would think, but the time lapse of me lighting up the cave does look pretty cool. And I'm pretty sure this entire cave is lit up. I mean, there's still some mobs down there. Once we leave the chunks, they'll all disappear. But the plan is to make this staircase curve this way. And then there's going to be a giant room right here with some pillars. And then there's going to be like a throne. And then this space that's filled out is going to be a nice glassy fog thing. That's where the actual portal is going to be. And it'll be easier to actually tell or understand the whole plan once I've actually got the staircase in. But that is the next step, is to work the staircase even further down. See if I can make this. Nope. Now that I have the cave lit up, I'm ready to push the staircase down more. But first, I needed more materials, so I grabbed the beacon and took it over to the tough and deep slate mine so I can grab enough tough for the actual stairs. And after crafting up some more tough stairs, I was ready to continue the build. Instead of clearing the space out and then placing blocks, I just cleared it out layer by layer, while also building the staircase and pillars for each layer. So when I finally reached the bottom layer, everything above me was already placed in. And minus the occasional witch or creeper attack, this went pretty smooth. So I'm not completely done with this hallway thing. As you can see, it kind of ends and is spawning a lot of mobs. Oh my god. I need to light this area up. But what I was trying to say is I ran out of blackstone. And I also need crying obsidian, which means I think it's time to make a bartering farm. So I ran around my very unorganized world and collected the materials for a simple bartering farm so I can produce more materials for this project. I have most of the materials I need for the farm, but one thing I need a lot of is pumpkins, specifically the carved version, and then collect all of them. I'm going to need a lot of pumpkins for this farm, so I'm just going to go and fly around and look, more pumpkins. And that patch of pumpkins left me one short. One short. I need one more. That's actually kind of crazy. You want something, bro? You want something, dog? What's up? Whoa. I don't know, man. I'm in the presence of an alpha male. I don't know if I should be over here. Better leave. Anyways, there's a patch of pumpkins right here. So, I'm good. Just need one of them. Sorry, buddy. This is pretty cool, though. It gave me an excuse to, like, explore parts of the world that I otherwise haven't really touched. And this world is beautiful. I absolutely love exploring it. Oh my, that is ugly. That's terrible. I also needed some scaffolding, so I took a trip over to the jungle and made some scaffolding. And actually, while I'm flying back home, I can come back over here because I need another turtle egg. I don't know where I put the other one for the gold farm, but I do need another one from these guys. These guys look a little lonely, so I'm just gonna give them some seagrass and let them do their thing. He just got some and dipped. Oh my. Is one of them gonna lay like an egg at some point? Do you need help? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. You're glitching out, dude. Did I like mess with the matrix or something? What is it? What's happening? Oh my, I think I broke the game. Oh my god, finally. Don't, hey. And you know what? You can just have your children, okay? I just need your one. That's all I need. Now I just need to figure out a spot to put this bartering farm. You know what? This seems like a good spot to do it. So I'm just gonna do it right here. I need to make sure my feet are at 117, and they are. Now I just need to make a little 8x5 room. Now I just need to go over to a corner, break a block like this, and then put a barrel down like that with a hopper facing into it, and then a dispenser facing up. And I think I can give myself one more block of room here as well. But now we have this. This is going to be like a shulker box unloader, I think. But I'm going to need another hopper, a repeater, and then a comparator just like that. But I actually forgot pistons. I need a couple pistons, and I forgot to bring them. So let me just test this. I think if you load this up with shulker boxes like that, and then actually if you grab an empty one like this, and then put something in it and then close it, it'll break it and place a new one. And this is a pretty key mechanic of this automatic farm. because you're going to get so many materials at once that you literally just sit here and then put all the materials in there. But we'll get to that later, I guess. Now it was time for me to make the bartering station, which is a little chamber where 128 piglins sit with pumpkins on their heads and throw me materials. This is a simple setup. This farm is so overpowered, it's crazy. After finishing the trading chamber, I worked up to the top of the farm, which is just a space to actually spawn the piglins in, with warped fungus on the edges to get rid of hoglins, and soul torches to get the piglins in the farm, with a dispenser that is always running, so the piglins that do make their way into the farm get a pumpkin on their head and can't despawn. I then made my way to the top of the nether and built up high above the sky, or roof or whatever, and AFK'd for a very long time so I can populate the farm. This system works so well, but I don't, because I forgot to close the trapdoor, so instead of making their way into the farm, they just roam around up there, which is not what I want. Now hopefully this was enough time for all of the pumpkins to be dispensed onto the thingies, guys. Oh, we seem to have a little problem. Oh my, that is so many. Oh my god. I might have to honestly kill all of them and then restart. But I would have to AFK for another 30 minutes, and I don't want to. I didn't want to, but I did it anyways. Okay, it definitely hasn't been 30 minutes this time, but I'm getting impatient. I mean, sitting up here and listening to a Sabrina Carpenter is nice, but I want to get on with this video, okay? I have to be the dumbest Minecraft player. I forgot to do the trapdoor. I forgot to open it. At least all of the pumpkins are gone, but I just did the exact same thing I did the first time. And right now, I'm just going to slowly let them in. If they all fall in the middle, they'll die to entity cramming. The scaffolding prevents that, so if I just put them in waves, it should be fine. Okay, they're all in there. This worked out perfectly, so I think I can just remove this actually, and then put up a piece of glass there just so nothing else gets in here. And I have an okay amount of gold. It's nothing crazy. We'll see how much we get from this little bit right here. Okay, this should be pretty simple. You just open up this trapdoor like this, and then throw all of the gold in there. Then do this, and it should just load up my inventory after a few seconds. Just kind of hold shift, and it should all just pile up into here. And that is already so much stuff. Oh my god, this is a crazy farm. Because this farm is so overpowered, I wanted to run it a bunch, so I spent time AFKing the gold farm and ran the bartering farm as much as I possibly could. Now, after that little bartering and gold farm session, we have a full shulker box of blackstone, a half shulker box of blackstone, and we got a ton of obsidian and a ton of crying obsidian. This is not enough, but it'll be definitely enough for now. So I'm just going to get back to what I was doing before. And after many hours of building and many creeper attacks, I have finally pushed the entire staircase going all the way down here. And you can also see how much terraforming I have to do. I didn't realize I had this much terraforming to do. It's like 10 layers of stone that I have to push back. But it's already starting to look really, really cool. But I'll turn full bright on just to get a better look. And I really like the detailing that I put into these towers. It's not much, but I think it creates enough shape that it just makes it look really, really nice. But the grind is not over because I have to push this stone layer back, like I was saying. So I'm just going to go through and terraform this so I can start on the next actual building phase of the project. With the haste 2 beacon next to me, this section should go by pretty quickly though. I didn't want that to happen. After the creeper attack, I began lowering this section of the cave down layer by layer until I ran out of durability on both of my pickaxes. And I know it's hard to tell, but I've done a really, really good amount of terraforming here. I've done about half the room up to there. It's going to be pushed back to about where the edge of that wall is. Well, I just got rudely interrupted by the power going out. This is the next day, and I don't remember what I was saying. But I have to repair my tools in order to finish the rest, and then we can put the floor in. But right now, I need to repair my tools and also get food, because I'm very low on food right now. Well, so watch these elytra skills. Oh my god, dude, that was so smooth. I sacrificed the souls of hundreds of endermen to repair my pickaxes, and then I began working on the rest of the terraforming for this part of the project. This floor design is pretty simple though. It just kind of does something like this with 3. I'm going to remove that torch real quick. Just goes like a little circle. I guess it's not a circle. It's kind of like a diamond or like a square, but it just looks like a circle on the ground. And then there's going to be like a line of deep slate that goes right here. and then there's going to be another circle, and I'm just going to continue doing this pattern on the floor. But I'm also going to mix in some cobble deep slate in here a little bit, like that, I think, and it just will give it a little bit more texture. And then I'm just going to continue going around this design with some tuff like that, and then also mixing in a little bit of pale moss in here. So let me just continue doing this pattern through the entire room. But you can actually see the design of the room taking shape, and it looks old, which is the exact thing and style that I'm going for. But I'm going to have to go get some more tough and pale moss blocks. Oh my god. Ow. Ow. Oh my. Mistakes were made. Well, that'll be the last time I try to do that. But it's back over to the mine so I can get some more tough. There's no way that just popped a totem. There's no way. I literally, okay, you guys saw it. I touched the ground so lightly. I touched the ground so light. I'm gonna float gently down here, okay? I don't want to pop another totem. I only have one more after this. Look here, Wombat's collecting more materials. Yes, the most exciting thing in this world. But Wombat also needs tough and pale moss blocks, so I destroyed this plains biome to collect the materials I needed for the floor. But nobody was living in this plains biome anyways, so it's fine. And then I went back underground and finished up the floor with the tough and pale moss that I collected. After the floor was finished, I added in some deep slate stairs to the sides of the build, which gave it this grand feeling and adds a bit more interest and height variety to the room. With the stairs slowly being added in, you can see the scale of this room starting to take shape, and after I added in the stairs, I also laid out the groundwork for a bunch more pillars. Now the floor is done, the design and texturing is in. I also added these stairs that go up to here, and I also decided to just put in the outline for some of the pillars that are going to be in the room. You can see there's what? There's going to be one right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pillars. And then there's going to be a couple back here as well. This is where the actual portal is going to be. But before I do anything involving the pillars or the actual shape of the room, I want to go through, and you can see there's these little spots where there's no stairs or anything. I actually want to add in some of these things. Stalactites, thingy bingy. I want to add like little rocks here in the ground to make it look like maybe some parts are collapsed or something like that. So I'm just going to go through and add in a few rocks. So there the first rock is in, and this is kind of what I have in mind for the actual design of them. So I'm just going to go through the room and add in as many as I have laid out in this room. And now I've added in a decent amount of rocks. They're mostly on this side of the room. I didn't add too many of them. I didn't want to overdo it, and I feel like it does a good job. This one is here. It's kind of there because there was originally this dripstone that went all the way down, so I just put it there because I wanted to keep it there. But with these details in place, I'm starting to feel like I'm making some real progress. But the next step, I think, is going to be the towers. I'm going to do the towers going up on every single side. I'm going to try to complete that first before I do anything else. The buttering farm produced enough blackstone to get started on the pillars, so I worked up with the blackstone bricks and then used blackstone brick stairs and walls to add some depth to these towers so they're not super flat and boring. And I did this on every side of the tower for the bottom. After working up with more blackstone, I added in walls to the sides of the tower for further detail as well, and then worked up even further while adding in some very slight detail, as I think the basic details added into these towers is enough for me. And you will notice throughout this build that there's not too much texture variety or detail added into a lot of the bits, and I think the reason for that is the room is just going to be so dark that I don't think it's super necessary. But with that first tower in, I created an additional 3 towers on the right side. And I have an additional 4 towers in, and little friend up there, but I've also pretty much run out of blackstone, which means I'm gonna have to go and just get some more of that. But while I'm getting blackstone, I actually want to do something else as well, just to get it out of the way. There they are. I want to breed up a bunch of froggies, and I really don't know how I'm going to do this, to be honest. I first wanted to expand the glass enclosure that they were in to give them room to breed, because I need a lot of frogs. I'll make these guys breed real quick. They should add frog legs to Minecraft so I can eat these guys. I need some iron in order to make a bucket. And I'm also going to start collecting the materials to make this farm. Luckily, I'm smelting up a ton of glass, so I'm just going to use that. Going to make a couple buckets. Hopefully that's enough. That's a lot of glass. With a little bit of time spent collecting materials for the farm, this should be enough to actually begin the farm. And now between these two shulker boxes, I have every material I need to actually build the farm. Now, in order to make this easier on myself, I want to use leads, but I really don't know where I have leads. I found some leads because I wanted to get these guys attached to a fence post, and maybe if they had more room, they would produce their frog spawn because they weren't really cooperating that much. So let me remove the glass, and maybe this will help if they have more room. Oh, okay, that works. Now, in the meantime, I actually am just going to lead them to this post. Don't run away from me. And I'm just going to do this as many times as I can. I'm trying to get 5 of each frog. While I waited for the frog spawn to hatch a tadpole, I wanted to get a head start on the froglight farm, so I went over to the nether roof to build up the farm. First, I have to go to a basalt delta, which I think there's one this way. Yeah, there's a basalt delta right here. So if I make the farm about right here, it should be good. This is pretty far from the other farms, but it'll make it more efficient if it is far away. Instead of talking about redstone because I find it pretty boring, I am just going to talk about why I need frog lights. I need frog lights because I want to make a stained glass fog effect for what the nether portal is going to be. And for that, you need a light source block. And that light source block for me was just going to be frog lights. So I'm making this farm that is pretty effective in order to give me frog lights because, well, I just think the fog effect looks cool. After I built up some of the farm, I took a trip back to the overworld to check on the frogs. This is a lot more tadpoles than I thought there would be. Oh my god, there's so many. Just get in my bucket, please. There are too many of you fellas in here. I'm gonna make a chest real quick. And that's 13. That's actually perfect. I have enough for 5 of each variant of frog. So I can just remove this glass. There is no way they're trying to actually traverse through the river just to get over here. Oh my god. With the tadpoles and buckets, I made a space for 5 of the temperate frog variant and a space on the mountain for the cold frog variant as well. And with both spaces created, I AFK'd and let the tadpoles grow up into frogs so we can transport them to the farm that I made. Oh, it's getting packed in here. There's a lot of frogs. Now the next step is to make a nether portal here. Like that. Be quiet, dude. Oh my god. But anyways, I'm going to light this. And instead of going through it right away, I'm going to go back into the nether real quick. If I put a portal here, they should just come out of this portal. Yeah, there we go. This is perfect. With the frogs grown up, I transported them from the chamber all the way into the nether and then slowly dragged them through the nether on top of the bedrock all the way over to the farm, which was, I think, hundreds of blocks away. This took a while, but I then put them in the farm, and then I went over to the desert and made a similar chamber to the last one that I made for the warm variant of frog as well. And once they were grown up, I also transported them into the nether and back all the way over to the farm. And forgot to mention that I also put in some of the temperate frogs in there as well. And after that, it was time to just complete the farm, which was just some glass on top with some extra added bits so other mobs wouldn't spawn in. And I put some iron golems in the middle and AFK the farm for about an hour. And it gave me a ton of materials for future use. After I built the frog farm, I went to go AFK the gold farm so I could use the bartering farm to get blackstone, which was the original task at hand. But I AFK'd the farm while I made breakfast, and I used an auto clicker that clicked every second, so I didn't have to sit at my computer, which was a serious problem as I started to starve. And while I was starving, I was still away from my computer, so a few seconds later and I could possibly die, but my girlfriend actually came in and paused my game. So my girlfriend completely saved this video and this world. So thank you, girlfriend. I did not die, but I came seconds away from dying, like literally seconds. The world almost ended. And because I've already popped 3 totems in this video, I ran the totem farm for a little bit, and then I ran the piglin bartering farm, and it gave me enough blackstone to finish the pillars on the other side of the room. And these pillars are nothing special, as they are pretty much a direct copy of every single one that I've already made so far. And now I have most of the towers in place, but you can see there's a big section right here in the middle of the room that doesn't have anything in it. There's this big empty space here, and that's because there's actually a throne right here in the middle of the room with a couple of towers behind it, and I want to work on this section because I think it's one of my favorite parts of the entire build. But for this, I'm going to need some stained glass, and this is not a lot, but I think it might be enough. I'm also going to need some candles though, and I think I left those up here. Nope, they were down here the whole time. Okay. The first thing I'm going to do though is put in a couple of towers right here. These 2 towers are the exact same as the other ones I built so far, but they have a little bit more character, as I'm trying to add a bunch of little cracks of crying obsidian going through the tower, almost like the energy of the nether portal is taking over some of them, which leads me into the lore of this entire place. I wanted to make it look like there was an ancient civilization here for a very long time that maybe discovered the nether portal. They built an entire city attached to the portal only to die off because they tried to harness the power of the portal but failed. And they doomed their entire population because of it, which is exactly why I wanted the crying obsidian to symbolize maybe the power of the portal spreading down the towers and through the room. And now with these 2 towers completed, I want to create a throne right here, and I want to create an elevated platform as well using some tuff. And I was thinking for the base of this platform, it can be about 9 blocks wide. So just like that, and then I want to go up again using some full blocks to create a very slight slope here. And then I want to go up with some of the chiseled, polished blackstone on each side, kind of going like that. And then I wanted to put some walls on top of that so we can do the same thing we did up there with the kind of like torch look that I like. And I just think it looks really, really cool, especially lighting up like a throne that's going to be right here. But this will just continue going up with some slabs on each side. And while we're up here, instead of going around with just tuff, I actually want to add in a little bit of texture here with just some normal deep slate like this, kind of like what we did on the ground up there. So it'll do something like that. And then the actual throne is about 3 blocks wide like that. And then for the base, I want to use some blackstone stairs and then some normal blackstone like that. And this will be the seat, and then this will be kind of like the arms of the chair or throne. And then it'll go around with 1 layer of blackstone, and then it'll go up on each side like this with another 4 blocks, and then it'll go up by 2 blocks to kind of have this like seat kind of look. You know, it's pretty thick throne, I guess, but I want to close this off with a block up there and then use some more walls. And now I want to go around and add more walls to the sides of the chair, and I think it looks really, really cool. I might actually go through here and change the seat, and you know, I don't know if that looks better, but I think I'm just gonna leave it like that. And with the base of the throne in place, I put some black candles on top of chains to give the throne a more evil look, and I really, really like the throne. But I have an idea for something to put right here. It's like a purple crystal that powers the nether portal, maybe, which also explains why there's crying obsidian right here. So I'm going to build that real quick just using a simple time lapse. And this crystal took almost no time to build, but it looks so cool with shaders on. And I used a mix of candles for some like particle effects and some glass, and I think it's a really cool effect that it gives off. I think this will be much more noticeable once there's actually a background, like once I actually continue the cave. But speaking of cave walls, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the walls of the cave and go all the way this way and meet up right here. With the other details of the room finished, I started building up the cave walls using the mix of materials that I used for the hallway, this time just adding in a little bit of deep slate tile. I also didn't want this room to feel like the ending of this place, so I added in some doorways with black concrete to make it look like they could lead somewhere else. And maybe at some point they will, but for now they're just for your imagination. But it's pretty crazy how much of a difference it makes to the room once you add in the walls and a little bit of the ceiling. I mean, this place looks so cool now. And this is how much I could finish before I ran out of cobbled deep slate. I don't have any more cobbled deep slate in any of these chests. Now there might be some cobbled deep slate. Oh my god, dude.
Flint and steel.
And there's actually a decent amount in here. But this just means I'm going to have to go on a little mining adventure and get some more cobbled deep slate. So here I am down in the mines collecting some more deep slate for the last time in this episode. And then I'm jumping right back into the cave walls, creating more doorways and also creating cracks of crying obsidian in the walls. As this is something I did in my last nether portal build in the world that I didn't record on YouTube, and I died in that world. So I'm going all out on every concept that I have in this video, and I think it's come together pretty nicely so far. Now with the final tower of this room in and the rest of the wall and ceiling placed in for this section, all I have to do is add in a couple more towers. I want some stained glass fog effect right here and then the actual nether portal. But I'm tired of avoiding creepers and skeletons. The zombies are fine, but the creepers and skeletons really annoy me. So what I'm going to do is actually create another farm, a glow lichen farm. And glow lichen farms seem really easy. I think I just need some basic redstone, a pair of shears, and just I think that's really about it. After gathering up the simple redstone, I began building this very, very simple glow lichen farm with just a few pieces of redstone, put the glow lichen in, enchanted up some shears, and just ran it for a few minutes, and it gave me so much glow lichen. And I went through all of the bone meal. That gave me a ton of glow lichen. I mean, that is so much. Now that I have that glow lichen in though, I'm just going to place it in throughout the entire cave. And so I began placing glow lichen throughout the entire cave, just on the walls and ceiling in places that would light up enough so mobs could not spawn in. And you would think this wouldn't take that long. This took almost an hour to do the entire cave. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous how long this took. But it's time to put the amount of time spent placing glow lichen behind me, because I want to start putting in a glass fog effect right where the portal is going to be. So I collected a ton of materials in order to do this, and then I started placing in a path that would eventually lead into the portal using just a mix of cobbled deep slate and some blackstone as well. And this bridge is inspired a lot by the Mines of Moria from Lord of the Rings, because I just think it fits this vibe very well and looks so cool. And while I was making the bridge, I also laid out the foundation for where the fog effect would be in the room. With the outline done, I want to get started on the glass fog effect for the floor, but I kind of want to remove this lava first. Probably should have done this before I started working on this room, but you know, it's cool. It looks nice. There we go. Ow. The cool thing about the way I've set up this whole portal thing is that I don't have to break all of this. I have to break a little bit of the floor, but I've laid this area out perfectly, so there's not as much block breaking. But there is still a little bit of block breaking because I have to make this entire floor underneath here the frog lights that I collected. So I'm going to make sure the floor is at this level. Because the area was already previously laid out above me, all I have to do is just follow that outline and break every single block to the layer that I would need in order to place the frog lights. Which reminds me to actually explain why I'm placing frog lights. Because you need so many layers of stained glass to create a fog effect, the frog lights at the bottom will just illuminate the glass enough so you can actually tell that there is fog. So this is necessary to put at the bottom. And this part is done. It's very bright down here, but there is one thing that I forgot to grab, and that is gray carpet. I use black carpet in the creative copy, but I have so much light gray wool and light gray carpet already made that I'm just going to see if that works. Hopefully I don't have like 20 extra stacks of light gray carpet, because I don't know what to do with all this if I have extra. I have a feeling I'm going to have a lot of extra carpet after this. Yep, I have about 58 extra stacks of light gray carpet. Oops. But now it's time to place down both of these shulker boxes and replace the light gray wool with black stained glass, which is the main glass color that I'm going to do for this. And I can just go ahead and place this on top of every piece of carpet down here. And because I had the area of the carpet already laid out and done, it was super easy to just place glass on top of the already existing layer underneath it. But I had to do this 10 times for each side, which totaled up to about 4,000 stained glass, which is a lot, and it took a lot of time to collect all that, and it paid off. This room looks so cool now with this fog effect in. But I wasn't done, because I had to bring the blackstone and deep slate outline all the way down to where the frog lights were on the floor, but the fog looks like it goes super deep into the floor now, which is exactly what I was going for. And now we have the stained foggy glass effect thing, which is really, really cool. I've never done this in a Minecraft world, and I think I really like the use case for it. But now it's time to build up a couple more of these towers and then complete the cave wall thing up to here, and then I can finally get started on another portal. And I'm just gonna have to hope that this is enough cobbled deep slate to finish this, but I highly doubt it will be enough. But I'm just gonna grab the materials I need to build these towers and the walls, and I can get started on the next part of the project. And now I'm gonna start entering the final stretch of building for this room, where I just put in this first tower on the right using the same exact concept I used where the throne is, and I added in another tower on the left doing the exact same thing as well, with a lot of crying obsidian cracks going down it. And then I just started bringing up the cave with a ton of crying obsidian in the walls, because this is where the portal is going to be. I want this area to feel like the portal is spreading throughout the entire room. But then I just started working on the portal frame, which out of all the builds I've ever made in Minecraft, I think this is my absolute favorite. It looks so good. It is finally done after many weeks of building. I mean, I've literally moved. I've moved in real life. That's how long this has taken. I've done so much, and it looks so good. I mean, this is my favorite build of all time. It's finally time to light up this portal after many, many weeks. Oh my god. Let me just step back. It looks so cool in here. And let me just turn off full bright just to get the real vibe of the room. It should be mob proof. Never mind. Need more glow lichen over here. Alright, buddy. I'm trying to give a nice tour. One without monsters. And you, sir, are a monster. Okay. But it looks so cool in here. Hey, we already have a visitor. We already have somebody in here. This is definitely my best build of all time. It just, I don't even know how many, like, I can't even express, like, how much I love this specific room right here. But I am not done. I'm not done at all. You see there's a big hole in the ceiling? Well, that's gonna have to be pushed all the way up to the surface. All the way up. Which explains why there's also a hole right here, as I have an idea. This place is super dark, and what I want to do is actually add some natural skylight right here by removing this entire area and making it accessible to the overworld instead of this cave, which would also make it easy to fly down here, and would give me an excuse to put a little patch of grass right here or some greenery. So because I never want to be done with this project and video, I'm going to bring that land down all the way. The view from up here is amazing, and honestly, it's going to look better once there's less light coming through, because I think it being so dark looks a lot better, but because there is no trees or anything blocking the sunlight, it's just going to come through super bright. But now the last step for me in this video is to fish. And actually, before I fish, I think I'm going to destroy this nether portal. I mean, it's about time. So it took some time to destroy this very old, ugly nether portal that was above the river, and if you don't know by now, I fish at the end of every single episode. I catch an enchanted book, and I name it after one of your guys' submissions. So go to the form in the description and submit a book name. And I caught the enchanted book very quickly. It is an efficiency 3 book. And I'm going to grab the book from last episode and replace this one up here and name this book. Oops. Oh, shit. And the book name for this episode is From Nighthawk. It says, I fell in love with your custom trees. I shortened the actual response because it didn't fit on the book. So thank you, Nighthawk, for submitting it. I hope you don't mind the edit. But this is going to go right into the library that doesn't have a door because a zombie decided it wanted to come in. And boom, it's going to go right there. So if you want to name the book for this episode, it is right here. And you can always be a permanent part of the world and this library, and eventually a big library. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was a long process. There's been a lot going on in my life, so I'm sorry this video took so long to produce and for it to come out, but I think it came out so nice, and this is one of my favorite builds of all time. There's a torch down here, okay, but I'll see you guys in the next episode.